Record is running. Stan, if you want to do the intro.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Recording is running if you want to do the intro.
Okay, yeah, let's consider the meeting started. This is the December 26th, October the 26th meeting of the Central Florida Computer Society Tech SIG. I'm having some video problems. The camera, I'm signed in as Huey. I was able to change the name, but that's his image. I can't change it. I can't get the camera to start at all. So I've made Mike Ungerman the co-host, and we'll consider the meeting started. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us. And who's going to start?
I didn't have much, but I will, since you put me on as a co-host, I'll share my screen. So, screen number 2. Okay, several weeks back, I had been looking for a utility that's similar to Speccy and Doorbell Arc Advisor, and I came across Win Audit, put out by Ix Services. And let's see here, see if I can get this thing to hide the video app on this thing. Is hide floating controls. Okay, and I think that did it. Is there still a black bar across the top of my screen?
Yep.
Yep. Wait a minute, let's see. Let me.
Not on. Oh.
Okay, I got rid of it. Okay, so it's from parmavex.co.uk. And it is freeware, and it says it's an inventory utility for Windows computers, creates a comprehensive report on machine's configuration, hardware, software, and so on. Free, open source, and it can be used or distributed by anyone. So I will minimize that. It comes in a zip file. It extracts. You can just put the icon anywhere you want, put it on your desktop. If you like, you can put it in program files and put a shortcut to it on your desktop in your utilities folder, whatever. And when it starts, all you get basically is this top screen, and it defaults to running an audit. So it runs the audit in real time, and it starts adding all these different peripherals to the screen. So let me see if I can just move this sideways a little bit. Okay, so system overview, installed software, operating system, peripherals, security, and they've all got things further down. So as you start scrolling the screen down, it will also sequence through all this information. And if you like, you can save it, or you can email it to somebody if you need tech support from help someone. So it's basically got the name of the computer, which is a holdover from my previous computer. I got a new motherboard in it now. It's got my domain or work group name. Most of you will have the work group of work group, which Sean and I discussed at length today and previously. It gives me my operating system, Windows Pro. Yep.
Your audio is cutting in and out, and I'm wondering if turning off your moving background could help at all.
Okay, let me do that.
Audio is coming in good with me.
Okay, well, I just moved closer to the microphone. I was leaning back in my. So any better, Sean?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I'm using that Samsung microphone that I use for our hybrid meetings, and it's just mounted a little further away. Okay, so I'm just going to sort of scroll down through this, telling I do have 32 gigs of RAM on this particular motherboard. And I have a 500 gig and a 1 terabyte, 2 SSDs in the computer, so just added them up. I guess it picked up the model number of my Scepter display. And no idea what an Alaska BIOS is, but apparently that's what I've got. And the last time I rebooted, it says 8 days, 6 hours and 32 minutes ago. So I guess it's time to reboot. And then we go into the installed software, and it's even getting down into some of the modules that Microsoft has put on it. And let's see what we got. Some components that are in there and stuff. So I'll just go, let's open this up a second. Yeah, it's got active setup, software updates, install programs. Okay, that's so install programs be very much like what Bell Arc Advisor does. So it's now showing what it detects. And I guess it's got information on all, it's got information on all the software, got all my Inpixio graphics and a whole bunch of Microsoft stuff, all the Visual C++ modules, fax, Quicken, all my security updates. So it's literally going through and finding everything that the registry says is installed, I guess. Let's see what it says about the operating system. Okay, I'll go past that real quick, although someone could probably hover over that to get the code. Peripherals that it's picked up. Security. Not sure what else we're going to see on here. Permissions, registry security settings, user privileges, user rights, the firewall, groups and users. It's got my administrators group, which I'm not a part of, but I have administrator authorization in this account. So I guess they are going to keep those things separate. More information that really is a bit over my head. Users should just be me. Yeah, well, okay. Administrator and myself. I'm sure my password's probably in there somewhere, so I won't select it. Tasks that I have scheduled, which is a lot of us have things that we run automatically or have on the task scheduler. Let's see, my network. That's something I could probably use for some of the troubleshooting that I've been looking at. So it's got my adapters. It's got, apparently I have 2 adapters in there actually, which on this motherboard, there are 2 actual Ethernet sockets, and there's also a wireless built in. It's got my network shares. It's got my TCP IP, got my hardware devices, audio inputs. This is what you could probably troubleshoot, Stan, to see what it detects for your video. So I'm sure, let's see if video is down here somewhere. Imaging, network adapters, printers, processors, components, storage. I mean, when they say they're doing an audit, they're doing an audit. I was hoping I'd see video, TUV. Yeah. Okay, so it doesn't say video, so it's probably one of the system devices.
Display.
Yeah. BIOS version, system management, got my processors. I've got an 8-core Ryzen, which was my last upgrade, gift to myself. And I mentioned I had 32 gigs of RAM. And now it's breaking out the physical disks. And my startup programs, which I usually get from CCleaner, and a bunch of other stuff. So it looks like it's an interesting utility anyway. It's free, and the video had that on there. Let's see if I minimized it. I should be able to bring it back. There we go. So again, that's Parmavex, PARMAVEX.co.uk /winaudit.html.
Can you put that in the chat?
Chat, yeah. Let me just copy that. And when I stop sharing my screen, I will, let me do it this way because I didn't hear it. Click, copy, okay. All right, we'll do that. Close that. And now that I've hid my, okay, so I'm supposed to be able to Control-Alt-Shift-H and bring it back. Control-Alt-Shift-H. Yay, it came back. Okay, so how do, there we go, stop sharing. Okay, I'll put that in chat. Back to you, Stan.
Thank you. Well, I'll copy that now and see if I can put it on this machine. I have switched to a different USB port. Still have had no luck in making anything happen. By the way, for those of you who are not familiar with it, if you have the latest version of Zoom, down in the bottom where it says security, participants, polls, chat, share screen, record, there's a new button labeled CC and it says live transcript. So if any of you are having any trouble hearing, if you click on that, it gives you a chance to change the size. You see all the closed captioning as we speak. And it's amazing how quick and accurate it is compared to the TV, especially I use it on my TVs. And this is much better, much faster. It's not 100%, but it's very close. And it does a extremely quick job. So, okay, who would like to go next, please?
I got two things. One, talking about, I got this as a, there we are. It's a 1 terabyte drive was on sale from Amazon, half price, $16. I wish I'd bought more than one.
Be sure to check it out. Make sure you've got 1 terabyte.
Yeah, and also make sure. The nice thing about Amazon is I don't have trouble giving it back to them. The other one I was going to tell you a couple of weeks ago, and I forget to bring it. I told you I used to be an amateur radio operator. I finally got my license back. But I also have a power amplifier. We're allowed as amateurs to have 2,000 watt amplifiers, or what they call 1,500 watt peak envelope power. And I have one. I built it myself, and it uses these. That is a tetrode, 3 of them. It's capable of dissipating 250 watts on its plate, and the plate is that ring around the top, and you blow air through the tube. And when you plug the tube in, I'll do that if I can. Okay, if I plug the tube in, it goes in a socket like this, which air blows through and has a chimney on it, which makes the air go through the tube. And nice thing when I used it, I haven't used it in 30 years since I moved here. But when I used it, it was interesting because the fluorescent lights would come on when I talked in the garage, even though they were turned off. There was so much RF energy. But I didn't have any trouble with what they call pileups. When I talked, they heard. I also had a 2-band quad beam up on about 50 feet. And it was kind of a fluke when I built the thing. And but it's a neat gizmo, and I suppose I went down and turned it on, it still worked. But I have no way of getting it hooked to an antenna. In fact, antennas are a problem when you have a homeowners association. I'm finding that out. So anyhow, that's what I wanted to show. I meant to do that a couple of weeks ago because it's called a tetrode. That's what it is. A tetrode is just a tube that has 2 grids in it. A cathode, 2 grids, and a plate. And it's a VHF amplifier actually, but I didn't use it there. I used it on mostly 14 and 7 megahertz. So that's your amateur radio lesson for today. And
Ken,
took my test, Paul, and they even gave me the extra test, which I didn't plan for. And I only missed 3 more than I could on the extra test. So I'll take that the next time and do better. And
You know,
Go ahead.
for the last 5 years, there's been they're trying to pass a law to ease the homeowners restrictions. And this has been going on for a long time. Bill Nelson, when he was the governor, he opposed it for some reason. You know, somebody else had his ear, and a lot of amateur radio organizations were trying to get him to pass this bill. And after he left, I really don't have any recent information or history on it. There was a lot of history back when he was governor, but I don't know where it is now, but they were trying to ease some of the homeowners restrictions to put up antennas.
Well, it would be
So
nice.
If I ever actually find anything out for sure, I'll try to pass it on.
I've been trying to track that myself since I got back into it. And of course FCC does not come out and examine anymore. When I got my license, you had to wait for the FCC to show up and you went down and examined it. They gave you the exam. Now they have volunteer examiners.
Right.
And so I took it that way through the radio club, the Orlando Amateur Radio Club. And what a nice bunch of folks. But
Yeah.
I'm going to pursue it a little bit. I've got some old radios. In fact, I pulled one out. The first transistorized transceiver that was built, it was built 50 years ago, and I still have one. I have no idea whether it'll work, but I could probably if it doesn't. So
Have you got a receiver?
yeah,
Okay. I've got an old Hammerlin HQ 150 that I used when I was 15.
oh, I have a couple of transceivers.
Yeah.
Yaesu built one called an FT 101. It's
Yeah.
a transceiver, 250 watt transceiver.
Yeah.
And, I used to, when I first retired, I took on and fixed computers, did websites and fixed amateur gear. And the guy brought me 2 of them and a separate BFO, and I fixed them and made them work, and he never came to pick them up. I still have 30 years later.
When did they raise it from 1,000 watts to 2 watts? It used to be 1,000.
Well,
Wait,
it's 1,000, 2,000 watts is what they call peak envelope power.
yeah,
When you sideband, which when you don't talk has no power. It doesn't put anything out when you don't.
right,
talk.
right, yeah,
If I ran an AM station, that is 1,000 watts limited,
yeah, okay.
because that's on all the time.
Yeah, that's what I used to have, but I got a 2 kW I built.
Yeah,
back then.
it's a 2 kW amplifier, and
Yeah.
it will work at 1,000 watts continuous.
Yeah,
A lot of heat comes out of it, but it does work. And so it's quite a machine. And it fits on a 19-inch relay rack, and it's about 30 inches high.
Yeah.
It's got I have to generate 2,000 watts for that little bitty tube, or 2,000 volts to make it work.
yeah,
So I'm actually taking 2,000 watts at 1 amp out of the wall. So it's interesting. Like I say, when I run it, and it actually does get pretty warm from that blower in there.
wow.
Heat out. I got a receiver. I have an old military receiver that I regenerated. It's called an R390. It's a Collins receiver, and it's it's big, huge machine, but it did a good job. But I would not use that anymore. It's what they've done now is they've digitized the receiving. So you're using field effect transistors, and which have a very high input impedance. Unlike the old PNP have a very low input impedance. And so they actually work it, bring in the RF, change it, digitize it, handle it all as digital information, and put it back to audio when you want to listen to it. The little bitty transceiver, the old lunchbox size,
Oh, yeah,
bitty transceiver now, it operates 160 through 6 meters. And there's 3 new amateur bands, or 4 that I never knew about, 30 meters, 12 meters, 9 meters, something like that I had never heard of. Their FCC gave them.
Huh.
They let us connect repeaters now.
yeah,
there are gizmos at 2 meters where you talk into a handy talkie and it goes out to everybody.
Yeah.
But now they have a way that it's called digital limiting, where I can give you a code for your squelch. You know what a squelch is?
Yeah,
It's a gizmo that turns the audio on when you get
Right.
hard. I can give you a code that when I talk under that code, no one else's squelch will turn on except yours.
how about that?
Yeah, it's neat. Plus, now we're allowed to hook repeaters together. I can call all the way to Jacksonville on with a little handy talkie.
Yeah.
But you know,
I had one,
when
I had one of those, I had one of those Gonzit transceivers, 2 meters, way
Did you?
back when.
I built one because they were messing with that out in California when I was there. I was
Yeah.
working for a contract for the Air Force. And in fact, that's where I built the amplifier. So the amplifier was built probably about 1965 or 6 is when I built this amplifier.
Mhm.
But it's been so beefy over the years that nothing's ever failed. The only thing I've done is modify the power supply. I used to have gaseous rectifiers in it, and I took those out and put in diodes, semiconductor diodes, and
Yeah.
it has to have a regulator for 300 volts for one of the grids on there, and it has to be able to emit, take in current as well as emit it. So I did that semiconductor too, but it's just a big boat anchor. If you like those things, it's neat. And
Those gas rectifiers glowed blue really nice and hummed. I remember those.
yep, you're right. They did. They had a nice blue glow when they were working.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
You felt like you were in a TV station.
Well, yeah, because you were born really generating some power with these blue rectifiers. And they are also, I mean, they were, you look at this, well, they were about this size. About this size. They were huge things. And of course, you replace them with a little bitty.
Viking Valiant used that stuff. Viking.
They still have that?
You can still find them at ham radio swap meets. You can still buy that Viking Valiant stuff. But most of that stuff was AM. Of course, that's what they had back in the 50s and 60s. AM was everything. You know, single sideband hadn't arrived yet.
Right. When I got into it in 1958, I think it was 57, 58, 59 was when I got my license. Single sideband was just beginning to come in.
Yeah.
And I still have an old 20A exciter with the World War II oscillator. I can't remember the number on it. I still have that. It was the original exciter I used because you can make single sideband 2 ways. You can either make it with a filter by just plugging the RF in there and filtering one side of it out, or you can make it by phasing, by actually taking one signal and rotating it 90 degrees and putting them back together. That's kind of what they do with the FM stations, where you have stereo FM. They actually put out 2 sidebands, one cancels and the other one doesn't. So you would put out the main signal, that's where you tune in your radio, and then there's another sideband out further from that your radio stereo FM detects. So you get stereo that way. I used to teach that stuff, guys, a long time ago. My goodness. I gave up electronics for money. I gave up electronics for programming because I made more money that way. And I gave up programming for management because I made more money that way. Story of my life.
I got a question for Ken.
Yeah.
Hey, when I was out at Oshkosh this summer, the EAA, they had a booth where they had, where you put on the goggles and you could
Yeah.
fly with the goggles.
Yeah.
And I wanted to do that, but there was always so many people there where it took you 5 hours to get in.
Oh,
And
really?
you know anything, you know, the advances they've made, they must have made some advances. That was the only place they had them, so it must be fairly new.
I got mine about 2, 3 years ago.
Yeah, but did it have a flying program with it?
Yeah, I fly Microsoft Flight Simulator.
Okay, does it work well?
I've got a newer one that I haven't used yet. Oh yeah, it works fine. In fact, the first time you use it, when you take off, you get a funny feeling you've actually come off the ground because it is 3D. I mean, you can look around the cockpit, and what's neat is you can be sitting there in the cockpit, and you got the window next to it. You can lean over and look down the window, see the landing gear in the ground down behind it, down there. It's, the nice thing about it is when you're flying a pattern, you can turn around and see where the runway is. Okay, when you're on final or on, you know, and doing base leg, you can see where the runway is and where you got to make your turn. Where you can't, they have head followers that you mount on a hat, and I have one of those too. But nothing like virtual reality, absolutely nothing. All your gauges and instruments are just sitting there looking at you, just like you're in a cockpit. And they let you do different things.
We don't have enough time tonight, but I'll call you later, and I'd like to find out more about this because I was real interested in it, but I could never get in there. There were so many people wanting to try this out.
Well, you know, in the new Microsoft Flight Simulator, they've digitized the world. So you can fly over your own house. And it's pretty neat. I showed,
Okay, well, I'll probably a lot of this information.
well, just go to YouTube, MSFS 2000, and that will give you more than you could ever handle. And then look at the virtual reality, because that's what it's called. First time I saw it was,
I like to have a system like that, but you know.
yeah, I don't blame you. Everybody would want one. And as soon as if you're a real pilot like you are, it's so much more like the real thing. Now, the problem is you can't push a button. You can't touch anything because it doesn't exist. So you still have to use the mouse to push buttons and turn knobs. And in most of them, there is one that has a hand, but you still have to
You
use it.
must have had some way to control that, or it couldn't be used for training.
Well, they have controllers, but they're controllers for the box. Here's one right here. This is a controller. Okay. And this you hold on to like this, and you got a button here, a button up here, a button on here, and a button in the front. And you can actually take a hold of things by doing that. And they give you one for each hand. It's and of course then you have the stick and rudder pedals that are the same. And so I have mine set up to where I can have either a yoke or a stick, depending on whether I'm flying a fighter or I prefer the small aircraft. I don't fly the big ones. Those guys fly airline schedules. That's not for me.
Ken,
They're
Seth Snyder has raised his hand. Seth, you got a question?
now we can't turn your audio on, Seth.
Hold on. Sorry, you were muted. My name is Seth Snyder. I just wanted to introduce myself. I live in Orlando, and I'm a, I guess, broadcast IT professional. But I just wanted to add to that. In addition to the control services, like the yokes and everything that they make, Garmin and I believe Logitech are now making like avionics, where you can have like simulated, avionics on your flight simulator setup.
Yeah, the difference is you can't use a virtual reality then. You can actually fly by looking at a screen, and you got all the buttons and everything that's real. That's true. You can buy that, and they actually use them in small aircraft simulators for money. But you can't use virtual reality then because it's virtual, it's not real.
But you need a virtual reality so you can look left and right and see the airport and make your turns and do all the stuff that you need to do in an airplane. And some of the stuff hadn't been all that good in the past.
You can do that too in the setup that Seth mentioned. It's just a replica of they have them like for 747s. They're just expensive, but you can set that thing all up, but you're just going to have one screen. They don't even, Microsoft Flight Simulator doesn't let you have more than one screen right now, but they'll work that out.
Before I always had to set up on 3 screens, and that was a pain in the ass, but I got most of it to work and then I didn't.
Yeah, but the virtual reality is just plug it in. Tell the computer that's what I'm running. However, you need a computer that's got some real pump to it and a video board that has a lot of pump. My video board is 12 gig, and it's an old one now. It's called a 2060, They make now a 3100. That's a lot more powerful than mine. My computer is pretty fast, about almost 4 gigabits. And that's not my limit. My limit is my video. But you want it to be smooth. You don't want it blinking off and on. You don't want it shaking. So it's how much detail you can get out of it. They make that, just rid of a new unit. It's a lot of money. It's I think a little over $1,000, but it knocks the hell out of anything that's available now. I paid, I think, like 300 for this one. The next one I paid like, I think 500 for. And but I haven't used it yet. I haven't plugged it in. And but yeah, you can do it. But trouble is, I guess you could come over and try my house, but if you walk in this office, it looks like an explosion in an electronics factory. It's just full of crap. But probably could go over better off if you got Microsoft Flight Simulator brought over and put it on yours to get an idea anyhow. But when you go to YouTube and you look up MSFS VR, you'll have all kinds of what it looks like and what you can do. Because it's YouTube is just full of the stuff. Also, how to set the thing up. You got to be able to. There are lots of compromise that you can make with these things. It's a lot of it is density of the screen. The new one I got is a lot more dense screen, and the colors are brighter. So I think Microsoft Flight, it was the game of the year this year. But it isn't even a game. You're not playing against anybody. You can't even shoot any bullets. I always thought Digital Combat Simulator. That's another one you should look up. I actually demoed the carrier one night. They have full carrier operations on DCS. So you can actually take a cat shot and trap a board. And it's pretty well done. All
Hey,
I
Ken.
is animation of the people now. Used to be that was really wooden or not existent. Now the people move around, they drive things, get out, wave at you, that sort of thing. So they're getting better. They're getting better. The more machine capability they have, I guess, the better they get. Okay, that's it for
Hey,
me.
Ken.
Took so long.
Hey, Ken,
Yeah,
is your mobile still 407-365-2660?
no, it's 407-399-4174.
Wait a minute, I gotta get out and write this down. I'll take you to lunch and we'll talk this over someday. What do you think?
Sure, that sounds great.
Okay, let me get something to write on here. What's your number now?
Ken, put it in the chat for him, please.
I'm sorry, say again?
Put your
What's your number
phone
again?
number in the chat, then he can just
Oh,
take it
okay,
and
yeah,
write it down.
that's easier, sure. I'll put it in chat.
Okay, Paul, you want to go next?
Okay,
You're next on.
all right. Let me reorganize here. So I'm going to share my screen. Hopefully this will work. And so the last month or so, I haven't done that much tech stuff. I just came off of a cruise. I went out of Tampa October 16th. So I was gone for about a week. And I've been back a few days and trying to pick up on life again and get everything the way it should be. So, but before I left and when I got back, what I've been doing here is, I got a Corvette, and that's the only tech thing I really kind of remembered doing. So let me see if I can share my screen here.
Stan will have to make you a co-host.
Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes,
All right. So the Corvette, it's a 94 Corvette. All the gauges are analog except the fuel gauge and the speedometer and some readouts like the the temperature. It's on an LCD display. Basically, it's a LCD glass. It's a glass that's got liquid in it and these finite traces in it, and it lights up the polarizing film, which is on both sides of this glass. The glass is like a sandwich, so you got to be real careful not to open up the sides. So there's a company that will fix this for you or sell you the parts. I, of course, elected to buy the parts. You know me. And so I've been looking to do this repair for a long time. And this is how it's looked for a long time. If the sun's in your eyes, I can hardly see it. I can usually see the speed, but I can't see much else. And this is the best picture I got. And this is kind of what it looked like for the past year or so, or maybe more. Who's counting? But I don't even remember what it looked like when I bought the car in 03. It's a 94, like I said originally. So let me see if I can make this go forward. Now I can't. Let me see here. I got to get this so I can see the top of the screen, or I can't click it forward. Okay, that didn't work too well. I got the Zoom selections on the top here. So now I don't know where I am. Now I've lost everything. Let me see. All right, so this is back. Let me see if the keys will work. Okay, good. All right, I'm set. So that's the speedometer, and it's out of the car, obviously, and it's sitting on my little work table. And so I got about 10 pictures. I got about 30 pictures, but these are the 10 best, just to show you kind of what I went through. And that's the back of it. You know, those little things that look like side by side things that protrude through. Those are the bulbs, the lamps. So when I had it apart, I checked every single lamp, and every single lamp checked good until I put it back in and didn't realize one lamp didn't light up. It was intermittent, so I got a good reading on it. And so those are the little black things are the lamps. And then the guy that sold me the stuff, who does this for a living, and he does a lot more for, he fixes the boxes that I've done myself, like the climate control boxes. But he's got a nice business going. But anyway, he told me to resolder that lower right connector. He says those connectors go bad. So I used my brand new soldering extraction tool that I bought to fix the ham radio that we all talked about a couple of months ago. And I removed all the solder. He says, remove all the solder and then add new solder. So I did that, soldered that up, checked all the bulbs, found one bad bulb, bought some new bulbs, put one bulb in. So there's the front with the bezel removed. Okay, and you can see the LCD display in the top left of it is the connector up there. Now the display is glass, so you're gonna be real careful not to bend it or break it. You're gonna have a really bad day if you destroy this thing. I mean, really, really bad, really bad. So that's it with it removed, and you can see the light bulbs back there. Those are the turn signals. And that's just a shot of on the left, it's the color that gives it the amber. That's the color. And then the top of it is the green is the turn signal color. And the right is, you can see the display standing up there. And that's a picture of me just starting to remove the film. I had to peel the film off the glass. And those pins sticking up, you have to stay away from those big time. Just stay away. So you got to get the film off both sides And then you got to clean it up with alcohol. I got 91 proof. You clean it up, use a razor blade, and use Windex, and you got to get it really spotless, or you're going to have debris in your display. So there's the car with no instrument panel. So basically, you have to remove all the knee panels under the steering wheel. All that stuff comes down. Then you got to unbolt the steering wheel support. You got to unbolt the steering wheel support and to get the instrument panel out. So there's my handiwork, working on the stuff. And there's the shield that's dropped down. And you can see I got a piece of, after I got the stuff out, I put a piece of wood on the seat to support the steering wheel. I didn't like the pressure on the steering wheel just hanging in the air. It bothered me. Didn't like that. So, while I had the panel in the house, I supported the thing. And there's a closer view of the LCD display after I probably got it back in and got it all set. And the instrument panel is going back in the car. And there's that kick panel that I had to drop down to get to the two bolts to hold the steering column on. If I said steering wheel before, I meant to say steering column. And then there's the steering column. Those are the two big bolts that you got to take out. So you got to lay on your back, and that was a lot of fun. But I'm used to doing that, being a little person. And then there it is, all done. Now, I told the guy that my display, you put the polarizing film on the glass, and then you put called the graphics, which is basically the box that just basically shows the turn signals and that stuff. Mine came out a little bit low, so I was telling him. So he sent me another graphic. So I ordered, had the conversation before I left, which was about the 15th of October. And when I got home, I received the stuff on the day I got home. It came in the UPS. So then I took the whole thing apart again, which I really didn't mind doing because I had a bulb that didn't work. The high beam bulb didn't work. So, and I tested it with voltage and an ohm meter. So that one got past me. So when I took it out, I retested it, and the bulb was intermittent because I got a good reading. And if I it's the bulb itself with the leads coming out is in a plastic holder, like a lot of the bulbs of today. And you just put the plastic holder in the circuit board and turn it a quarter turn, and it locks in, and it's got contacts. So somewhere there was a bad connection. It could have been inside the bulb. I kind of think it is because I looked at the connections. I couldn't see anything wrong. So just something that got past me. Check good, was bad. And then I found another bulb that was lighting up, but it had high resistance. And that one I really, I don't know what was going on, but that looked like it could crap out in time. So I bought 5 bulbs from Napa. I didn't know I could get them on eBay, or actually I knew I can get them singly, but they were too expensive. But I didn't know I could buy 10 at a time, which I would have done. It was 5 or 10 at a time, and I missed the ad on eBay, and I already bought the stuff from Napa. So be as it may. So I bought 5 bulbs. I actually used 4 of them. I only got 1 left, but chances of me taking this apart again is, probably small. So I didn't mind taking it apart, and I found another bulb that was bad. I replaced that one. So it's back in, and the graphics is a little bit higher. So where it says cool, it's now, and taking the graphic off was pretty easy. That just peeled right off, and I just kind of cleaned it up, put the new one back on a little bit higher. So now the word cool is a little bit more centered. So I didn't take a second picture. I didn't feel it was necessary. Well, I just got done with it today. So that's what I spent. I spent yesterday taking it out, or the day before, whatever. And I finished it up today and put everything back in the car. And everything's up and running. It looks good. I'm a happy camper. And that's a big change from looking at that. So that's my 2 cents for today.
Interesting.
And the only other tech thing is that I'm buying another amateur radio antenna. I'm hooked up with the guy, and he's waiting for me to come back from my cruise. So most of my antennas I built. I bought a dipole because it was simpler to buy than to build, and it was cheaper getting the parts and the kit. So, but there's some other things I want to do, and there's something like this thing is like 23 feet tall, and I really can't build that. It's got a lot of tuned coils on it. It would take me forever to get the, build something like that. It's cheaper to buy it used, and I got a good deal on it. So I'll tell you how that works out whenever I get it and get it hooked up, and see if I can have some fun with it, see if it does some different things. So that's my 2 cents for this week. So let me see if I can stop share. There, I'm back. Okay.
Hey, Paul, I bought a, like you said, it's cheaper to buy than to build. I bought an off-center fed for 80 on up, 80, 40, 20, whatever those other bands are, all the way up to 6 meters.
A Wyndham. It's called a Wyndham.
Not, well, yeah, it is a Wyndham, but they had a special number. Somebody's call letter on this one.
Wow.
And yeah, it's 132 feet long, and you know what isn't 132 feet? My lot. I can't go over the top of the house. I got a 2-story house that goes way the heck up, and I can't put poles in to go over the top of it. So I have to kind of go around the house. We'll see how that works. If I'm going to use trees, because I have 3 big sycamore trees, and I'm going to try using 2 of those and part of the house to get that thing around.
There are a lot of homeowners associations. I just heard this story. I thought it was kind of interesting. This guy wanted to put up a vertical, and he couldn't do it. So what he did, he got some PVC pipe, and he put the vertical antenna. I don't remember how tall it was, or I never got the information. He put the vertical inside of the PVC pipe and put a flag on it and called it a flagpole. And set it work. So there are things you can do to get around those.
Look at YouTube. There's some of those on there.
Yeah.
And I do have a flagpole in my yard. I'm a guy who salutes the flag every day. So I do have a flagpole. And I saw it and I thought my flagpole is my front yard. But it's going to be hard to sneak a feed line out there. But you could do it.
Oh, well, nobody's going to see a wire on the ground.
But I'm hoping my neighbors are good neighbors. I've lived here longer than most all of them, and so I've kind of got squatters' rights. Plus, I'm an old guy and everything else. So I'm hoping I'll get away with it. I have a tendency to put up an antenna and then connect nothing to it. I had you know what I'm talking about. I had a cubicle quad. Is what I used, 2-element cubicle quad on 20, 15, and 10 in my Pensacola address. The first thing I did was put it up. I don't connect anything to it. So when everybody has TV problems and one lady had a washing machine problem, it's that antenna, what you're transmitting. I look up there, there's nothing connected to it. It's just standing there. So when I do connect something to it and they do bother them, they're afraid to come and see me again. So I'll do that again here. I'll put it up, but I won't connect to it for a few days and see if I get any complaints. Because it is, I understand people. You're talking about radio energy and that sort of thing. One lady had a stereo across the street and, just a transistor stereo. And of course, I'm running 2,000 watts. It's blasting that thing. And her only complaint was, I can't understand what you're saying. why can't I understand you? Because it was single sideband and she couldn't regenerate the carrier. But that was her only complaint. I can't understand what you're saying. But most of the time I operate like, I'll come into the ham shack 9:30, 10 o'clock at night, and then I'll operate maybe till midnight. So I don't usually bother people because most people have sense and go to bed. But I only sleep 5 or 6 hours. So yeah, I got to get somebody to put my antenna up because I can't do it myself. I'm too old apart nowadays. So I'm going to get somebody to get up my foot step ladder who will go all the way to the top on that tree and screw the bolt in.
There are people in the Orlando Radio Club that I'm a member of. The president and this other guy, Bob Morocco, I forget what his position is, but he's on the board. You know,
Yeah.
they will put out an email to everybody in the club that says another amateur needs assistance. See who wants to jump at it.
Well, that'd be nice.
So you can.
I don't think it's going to be a long-term job.
Yeah.
My hope, because it's just going to just hook it to the 2 trees and to the fence, because I got to go up from the fence to a tree, then across the backyard to a tree, and then probably back down to the fence again. I'm going to be kind of in a U shape, but it's resonant, so we'll see what happens. Did you take the test at the fairgrounds? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, they had a nice setup, and you know what little time I had to talk to people, they're very nice. But amateurs usually are. We all have the same problems. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. My wife is not looking forward to me doing it, but that happens. Another damn hobby.
Okay, let's move along. And Gary, you're next on my screen. So you've been up to anything interesting lately?
Okay, I'm on mic, unmuted. I had an interesting thing with my webcam manufacturer. I bought what's called a Nexico, Nexigo, and it's N660 model number. I bought it on Amazon, $39. Bought it in February, the 9th, and it's worked really good. In fact, I enjoyed using it so much that I bought a second one on the 20th of October, and I was able to put one on a tripod shooting down at a table and the other one as a webcam. And just by turning the USB buttons, I have switches on my USB hub, and I was able to just switch cameras just by clicking the second camera on and off. So I start off with camera 1, and then I switch on camera 2, and it takes precedence over. And then when I turn off camera 2, then it goes back to camera 1. I thought, well, this is pretty cool. And I said, you know, it would really be nice to adjust the brightness and contrast, and especially if the lighting is in different situations. So I opened up the App Store on the Macintosh and typed in Nexico, and there it was. There's this app that other companies are charging anywhere from $8 to $20. This one was a free download, and you can adjust white balance, brightness, contrast, hue, saturation, sharpness, gamma, and then you can switch the power line from 50 hertz to 60 hertz, and then there's some advanced features beyond that. And then you have a preview window that has 5 different sizes of resolution from 360 all the way up to 1080. And so when I downloaded this app, it worked on the second camera that I had bought October 20th, but the one that I bought on February 9th, it wasn't working. So I thought, what the heck? In the app, the Nexico webcam setup app, there's a button for support, and it takes you right there to a place to call them. I call them up, and she says, you know, we developed that application in January, and apparently your camera was made before we developed the software to adjust all the settings. And that's why your second camcorder that you just got has all these adjustments, but the first one doesn't. And I said, well, what would happen if I just took the first one that I bought February 6th and put that in the box of the one that I just received and send it back to Amazon and ask for a replacement? She says, that will work. She says, in fact, mark it as defective. And she says, when we get your camera in the factory, since we've talked, we'll know it's coming in. And she says, we'll just use that as a donor or help somebody with it or use it as an example. But with when I get the new camera, I'll be able to set up different defaults for each of the two cameras. So one could be brighter, one could be dimmer, you know, like the brightness. I mean, it has a pretty wide range. I mean, I got from there all the way down to there. And then there's always a default button you can click on. And then the white balance is automatic. But right now it looks like I've got too much sun. And anyway, it's nice to have these adjustments and to be able to make defaults for both cameras for different ranges. So I'm going to show you something that I'm celebrating. Today is a very special day. These are parts of it's kind of everything's backwards on the screen, but these are the parts to a pair of stilts that I sell for $5,000 a pair. And these parts, remember when we used to meet Denny's, I told you guys that, hey, I'm going to buy a CNC, you know, and learn how to make parts. So, I mean, here's a part here. The Delron bearings are inserted in there, and then this is just a square piece of tubing when it starts off. And when the CNC is done, of course, I put the pop rivet in to hold the Delron bearing in, but it machines the Delron, the metal. It does the profiles on the top and bottom, front and back. And here's a compound cut. So this is looking at from the top, but on the side. But these are all done with CNCs. All these were square pieces of metal, rectangular extrusions. And here they are, all finished, done by a machine. Normally I'm sitting in front of a milling machine, and I'm turning dials, and I'm, you know, this is all done by little tiny machines. There's a part, the machines even engrave them. And it's hard holding a webcam because everything goes opposite. But this is a 36-inch long part. There's 6 of these 36-inch long parts. There's a heel, a ball, and a toe pole that goes underneath you. And then there's these toe parts, and then these are the heel parts, and all this will be assembled with steel bolts. And but this is the first run of parts that are fully, all the holes drilled, all the slots, all the diagonal parts, all the profiles, the slotting, the engraving, everything was done by these little machines that look like that. I have 4 of them. But when we met at Denny's, I bought one, and it worked out so good that I wound up buying 5 of them. They've been pretty good. But another thing I wanted to show you was, the other day I dragged out a ukulele, and let's see if I can get. And I didn't have a way of tuning it. And if you Google the words Google tuner, it will take you to this. Let's see if I can get an auto contrast on, get the brightness knocked down here. Okay, so there's the tuner. Hello. But if I had a stringed instrument, but there's a lot of, if you Google guitar tuner, you know, ukulele tuner, they'll tend to take you to these websites, but then you got to click on these ads, you know, before you can actually get to the tuner, you know. But not only does it have the tuner, but if you click on this little caret here, they have a whole suite of other things. Roll a dice, a metronome, calculator, spinner, a bubble level, meditate, a color picker, and flip a coin. You know, these are, they're all kind of tied to, when you say Google tuner, all these other little other apps are right underneath there. So I found that kind of fun and interesting. I've used the tuner, works great.
Gary,
And yes.
just one comment. On an iPhone, which I've got, and I think, I'm not sure if you got an iPhone, but
Yes,
there's-
this is an
Okay.
old yeah.
okay, there's an app by Fender, you know, Fender, the guitar maker.
Yeah.
So I've got this Fender app on my phone that's a tuner, and it's will give you similar information to tune my guitars. I used to play in a band, believe it or not. I used to play music. I still got my guitars, but everything else is gone. All my amps and speakers and everything. So, but you know, if I want to tune this guitar, it'll give you all the notes. You know, it'll do it once, or it'll keep playing them over and over again. So it's a pretty cool app. And just in case you want something else to put on your iPhone.
Yeah. It, you know, it's even got a little metronome that you can adjust. So anyway, that's all I had for right now.
Okay, thanks. Let's see who's next. Sean, what have you been up to?
It looked like Forrest had a question. Oh, we can't hear him.
I'm here.
Do you have a question?
No, I just want to tell you one thing. You're talking about Denny's. For those of you that hadn't been by the corner of 436 in Oxford, Denny's is totally gone. 90% of it's been hauled off. The Wendy's is about a half mile down the street. Is going to build a new Wendy's there. And the Wendy's property, they're going to level and put it with two other lots that are one on each side of it and put in some strip stores. So just for food for thought, that's what happened to Denny's.
The one on the corner of Lee Road and I-4 is still there. Or Lee,
Yeah.
it's Lee Road and I think it's Wymore.
Yeah.
So,
Sean,
can I share my screen?
I'm sorry, real quick on the Wendy's. I told the board last Thursday, I went to a Medicare informational meeting at the one at Altamont, just by Altamont Mall in Altamont. And they have closed in, they glassed in that back room, so it would now work. But their policy is that you pay $100 every time you use that room, which I guess is a different franchise than the one that owns the Lee Road and the one that we used to go to, which were the same ones, and they same owner, and they were always free. So I just wanted to add that in.
Well, I think, didn't we have to buy a certain amount of food, which we always met that?
It went back and forth, but for the most part, they just try to let us do our thing.
Okay, so I'll share my screen.
Yes.
Okay, so I bought these bulbs. I'm always trying to get a little bit, well, not always, but I try to get a little bit brighter lights outside of my house. And these came out and they're 150 watt equivalent. However, I bought them in July 11th and installed them almost immediately. And they're supposed to be 30,000 hour bulbs. And I've already had one of them go out. So I went into the comments, or into the, I guess the comments, and looked, and other folks have also been posting now that theirs are dying. So I contacted Google today, and I don't think I can just return them, but they sent me a message. They sent me a link where I can contact this vendor. She said they typically have a year warranty on their things that they sell. So I'm going to try and get a replacement bulb, but it's not looking good for these things. So just buyer beware. If you happen to see these bulbs or on Amazon and you want to buy them, don't do it. Next thing, I bought one of these. Now, Jeff Walker is not on this call, so I figured I'd go ahead and share. But I bought one of these at his suggestion. This is a USB plug, and this circle right here is kind of a little bit of a concave thing. It's where you can plug this into a charger, and you can put your Apple Watch on this. Anybody that has an Apple Watch knows that it comes with something that looks similar to this. It's round, but then it's got a long cord. In my case, the cord is probably 8 to 10 feet. I think it's a really long cord. And when I travel, I don't care to unplug my cord and fish it back from next to my nightstand. So just having this, and I did use it for the first time. I went up to North Carolina a couple weekends ago, and this was great. Very happy with it. $10. So, and I bought one of these. I think I talked about this last month, just briefly. I bought one of these monitors. It's only 10-inch monitor, and my goal was to just have it as a configuration monitor when I'm working on a computer where I need to have a display. I don't need anything big. However, when I got the monitor, the screen did not look anything like this picture. It was a horrible screen. And it might have been that I was plugging it into a computer that was using a terminal. It wasn't booting to a graphical user interface. Maybe that would have been better. But I couldn't even read the text. It was so tiny, and if you had to look at it straight on, you couldn't look at it from an angle. So again, I went ahead and sent that back right away. So do you remember if I talked, anybody remember if I talked about that last month? No, okay. All right.
I think you did, Sean.
Did I? Okay, yeah. So don't get one of those if you decide to get a monitor. This is a shout out to whole network ad blockers. This is Windows Central. If you ever want to test out your ad blocker, go to windowscentral.com. And if you don't have an ad blocker, you'll see all kinds of ads. And I go to Windows Central here, I see no ads. And I have no ad blockers installed on my computer. This is a network ad. My computer is using my local network ad blocker, like Pi-hole. It's similar to that. So if you keep going down, I mean, nothing. So anyway, next. I bought recently, about 2 weeks ago, I bought some additional memory for my Synology. Let me log in here. My Synology network attached storage, little server that I have on my network. Its maximum memory is, I believe, 8 gigabytes officially from Synology. However, I did some research and found that while it's not officially supported, you can put you can add a 16 gigabyte chip in there. You might be able to add a 32 gigabyte chip in there, but I only did 16. So now it comes with 4 on the board, and then it's got the slot in there inside of the unit, and I put 16. So I've got a total of 20. And you can see here, where's the info? Under Info Center, there it is, 20 gigs. So I'm actually hosting a virtual machine on my Synology, and I've got 8 gigs assigned to it, and I could go up if I needed to. So handy thing if you happen to have a Synology server. I'm a fan of Wise. While I don't necessarily use them here at my home, I think they're great. I've played with Wise cams. I'm actually wound up setting up. I took all my Wise cams. I had about 5 of them or 4 of them, and I took them all up to my dad's house. After my mom passed away, I wanted to be able to kind of keep an eye on the property and know when he comes and goes. I've got a Wise cam set up in his garage, one over the garage door facing out so I can see the driveway. It's just great. Well, this is they just came out with this for 20 bucks. It's a solar panel that plugs directly into one of the cameras, the version 3 camera or better. Well, the version 3 camera is about $30. So for 50 bucks, plus the cost of a micro SD card, you've got an outdoor camera that doesn't need any power or anything. You don't need any wires because this can just plug directly into the camera. I'm assuming there's a battery built into this device, and it just recharges and provides power to the camera. So have not tried this yet. However, I may buy one of these for 20 bucks. I mean, you can't really go wrong. Also from Wise, this is new. You can screw this into a lamp or a light fixture, and this is obviously like an Edison type bulb housing, and then you can put a light bulb in the other side, and there's a USB plug right here, so you can plug your camera into this. You've got a light bulb that you can make a smart wire, or, make a smart bulb. That can all be handled through the Wise app, and now you've got power, nearby power for your camera. They're really thinking outside the box. I'm just really impressed. And one more thing. Oh, also from Wise, they've got the Wise Video Doorbell Pro. This is a doorbell that has a battery built into it, but also has the ability to be a wired doorbell. So for 65 bucks, if anybody's purchased a video doorbell before, they know that doorbells go for typically between 100 and 200 bucks, usually on the higher end, usually closer to 200, maybe 140. This is 65 bucks. So it's not out yet. This is the Pro. There's also another version called just the Wise Cam doorbell, not the Pro, the Wise doorbell.
Yeah. Sean,
Yeah.
do they have a solar panel that'll operate that and charge that battery?
I don't know. I don't know if this works with the solar panel.
I bought a Ring years ago, and I don't have any power anywhere. Well, I could get power to it, but it'd be a lot of trouble. And I said, can I hook the solar panel to it? And it says, no, it's a different connector. I said, well, why don't you start doing it? Well, by golly, they've done it. And I fit the other one back, and I got it. The solar panel for the doorbell.
Yeah, the Ring, the battery powered Ring doorbell, at least one of the first generation ones. I just recently had a client that had one of those. They had the solar device, the solar panel fits behind it. Put the doorbell into it, and it plugs in, obviously, and charges and provides power to that unit that provides power to the doorbell. That thing stopped working, and they had it for years. And we looked and we could not find another one. So
this is totally different. It's a large solar panel that they use on the cameras. It's the same size. It's not the one that's built into the doorbell.
Okay, so what do you got, a big solar panel next to your doorbell?
Well, mine's on a fence. There's a wrought iron gate, and then there's a fence going around my courtyard. And the doorbell, and then I'll drill through it and put the wire, and then I'll just put the solar panel on the inside of the fence, up near the top, and point it up.
Okay.
So it won't be seen from the street.
Gotcha. Cool.
It's about 6 by 8 inches or something like that. I've got it in the box of my hand right here.
Cool. Next, this is my latest purchase. I just got one of these. I came yesterday, so I haven't had a lot of testing to do on it. It's called it's a scanner, a high speed scanner. I typically don't keep anything in a file cabinet except for certain things like that you can't shred, like your passport or insurance. You can. I scan insurance documents, but I do keep those. But I pretty much scan everything else and then shred it. And this scanner, I had a prior version of the scanner. This particular one, though, has the ability to be wireless and scan to up to 5 different computers on your network. So, can I play a video on this Zoom? I've never done it before. Do you know?
What you have to do is unshare your screen, share it, and before you share it or in the share dialog, there's a box to check that says share audio, and then you share back again, and we'll be able to hear the audio.
Okay, this is about a 4-minute video, so it's not very long, telling you about this scanner. So I'm gonna do that.
And flexibility that addresses all of your scanning needs. Scansnap Ix
You hear it?
1600.
Yes.
Yeah.
Scansnap Ix 1600 offers a unique scanning experience with a 4.3-inch touchscreen and Wi-Fi connectivity, making it the perfect device for sharing within the family or your team. Simple operation to complete processes with just one touch. The Ix 1600 is equipped with a 4.3-inch touchscreen. Customize icons to suit your scanning preferences and scan however you'd like. With color-coded icons for each user, you can easily switch between users for a tailored scanning experience, even when sharing the device in the office or with family members. Select the perfect icon and scan with just one touch. When scanning various types and sizes of documents, the Ix 1600 produces the best quality images automatically without the need to adjust settings, making it just that simple to use. Images can be saved to PDF, searchable PDF, and JPEG. Designed for a stress-free experience, refined for every user. By opening the cover, the scanner powers up and is ready to scan immediately. The feeder holds up to 50 pages at a time and scans at an amazing 40 pages per minute, meaning you get more done in less time. The efficiency of Scansnap Ix 1600 resides in its advanced paper feeding technologies, which reduces misfeeds and paper jams, ensuring a quick and seamless scanning experience like no other. A special manual scan mode allows you to scan folded and long documents. Capable of scanning various sized documents in one batch means no laborious paper preparation is needed. Connecting to Wi-Fi environments or functioning as an access point itself, the Ix 1600 simplifies wireless scanning. The included Scansnap Home software is your all-in-one application to manage, edit, and organize your scanned data. Using the dedicated software Scansnap Home, you can easily leverage all of your data. Automatic format recognition provides easy classification and filing, removing several steps in the organization process. Files are named automatically. Data management allows easy search and utilization of information. Convert scans into editable Office documents and take your Office with you anywhere. And with Scansnap Cloud, you have the option to send scan documents directly to your favorite cloud services with a simple touchscreen operation. Scansnap Ix 1600, an intelligent one-touch scanner, brings a new level of convenience and utility to your home or office.
So anyways, so that was their video, but seems pretty cool. I have not fully used this particular scanner yet, but I'm gonna do it while we're on this call. Let me share my screen again, and this is the software to do the scanning. So I'm going to hit. I have a stack. It's an owner's manual for my lawnmower. Hope you can see that. It's hard to show, but I'm going to scan. It's 25 pages. So let's see how long it takes to scan this. My scanner's right here. So I'm going to click scan, and I'm going to scan to a folder. And I'm going to click scan. So, all right. So it just started scanning.
Is this single-sided or will it do dual-sided?
It'll do double-sided. This is a single-sided scan though. Single-sided pages rather. It is looking at the back sides as well.
Are the pages all separate?
They are all separate. It just finished. That was 25 pages. And here it is. Okay. So I'm going to say raw scans for the server. And it named it, as you can see, it says owner's manual, gave it the date, owner's manual rotary mower, the actual model number .pdf. And then this is the actual scan itself. I don't think I scanned it with searchable. No, I did not. Oh yeah, I did. Yeah, so it actually recognizes the words in the document. You can see I searched for the word mower. And I can search through the document. Anywhere that says mower will be highlighted. So not only did it scan, it also converted the entire scan to a text version, so it can be, and I can highlight and copy this stuff too.
Hey, Sean,
Yeah,
your audio is way up.
is it? Okay.
Yeah, I wonder if it's because you allowed the audio from the other, switch that off, back without that audio, share audio.
I did turn it off. I'm going to turn this down, I think. You see here.
I think you turned it up when you started playing the video.
Could be.
I did. Okay. How about now? Is it lower?
No.
No? Okay.
Might have to hit your microphone volume.
How about now?
Yeah.
It's going down?
Yeah.
Test, 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 test,
Yeah,
test.
that's good.
Okay. So anyway, so I can highlight and copy if I need to. I should be able to see what's in my clipboard here under edit, show clipboard. Yeah, so there's the, it gives you text. So that's handy because if I create a bunch of scans and I don't care what I name it, I can actually search on my computer and I can easily find the document if I know what's inside of the document, have an idea of what's inside the document. So pretty cool. There's more to learn. I'm going to set this up I'm going to set a profile up for me and one for my wife so that it'll scan, and I can scan directly to my Synology as well. So it'll just go into a folder called scans on there. So
These are great scanners, Sean. I've used one of these before, the double-sided, and it's excellent software, excellent hardware. I know one lady from New York that lived here for a while, and she is completely in a paperless office. all the mail scanned in, all receipts scanned in, all paper thrown in trash. She is totally 100% dependent on that SNAP scan.
Yeah. Yeah. It's they're not cheap, but they're worth it. So this was
Yes.
this was and actually, I mean, it's I think $399 for this kind of technology. It was $399, and for the speed that it is, the ability to get rid of all the paper. And I mean, like I said, I'm replacing another one that is it was just old. I did have streaks on it. You know, it got a streak on the head and or on the glass. I did not try fixing that. I wanted to have the ability to scan wirelessly, and apparently you can scan to your cell phone as well or iPad. Very excited to get this new one. I was very happy with the old one. I still have the old one. I don't know if maybe I'll end up selling it. I'll see if I can get the streak off there. But anyway, so that's pretty much it for me.
I put the link in the chat to the Amazon listing for it.
Thanks.
Can I add something? We were talking. Sean was talking about Wise, and I will. I'll go into the chat. Let's see. How can I go into the chat? Okay, and I'm going to enter an email or a URL of Wise's brand new what's called Scale S. It's a smart scale, and you can pre-order it now. And take a look at this thing. It's pretty amazing. And I have the model before this that was a full $20, but now the price is $14.99. So a smart scale for that price. Pretty amazing.
Has it got the postage rates built in?
No, you have to pay for postage.
No, I meant when you weigh something, does it give you the
No.
US postage?
No, it's a bathroom scale. It tells you. It tells you your weight. It tells you your body mass. It tells you it tells you your blood pulse because you stand on it in your bare feet and it detects your blood pulsing in your feet. Yeah, just look at this link. It's pretty amazing for $14.
I have a question or a comment for Sean. Backing up a few squares on the light bulbs that you were talking about. So I've been kind of converting my house very, very, very slowly to the LED light bulbs. You know, I got some lights in the kitchen that's on a Variac, a dimmer, and you know, I had one go out. There were two lights on the same light bar. So one went out and I put a LED in, and one was incandescent and one was LED. And that didn't work out really good. So I had to take out the incandescent and put in two LEDs to get the same brightness, but I can't lower it. But it's okay. I can't lower it as low as the others, but you know, it's livable. And then on my porch, I got a fan that had a 60-watt light bulb, and it's in an enclosure, and it didn't put out enough light. Just doesn't put out enough light. When I changed the fan a few years ago, my old fan had a really bright light. This one doesn't. But the bulb went out, so I went to buy some bulbs, and I got this LED bulb. And it puts out an amazing amount of light, and it's the same supposedly wattage. So I haven't had any problems. So I was just kind of curious if the reason those bulbs you've got have been going out is maybe because of their high power. Because, you know,
I don't know. I'm not sure if that's the reason or not. I have. I would say almost all of my bulbs at my home are LEDs. These are the first bulbs that I got that are that old style looking bulb, the kind that you'd see, like they look like vintage type bulbs.
Edison.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Edison bulbs, and those are the first ones I ever bought like that. But I didn't buy a name brand like GE or even something like Eco Bulb or whatever. I forget the name of some of these bulbs. It wasn't from. It was Amazon, so it was some cheap Chinese bulb, I'm sure. That's not to say that the GE bulbs aren't cheap Chinese bulbs either, but I would expect a GE bulb to be probably a little bit more robust and better quality. But it was $22 for 4 bulbs, so and I figured it's $22, so I'm going to see if I can get them to replace the bulb. But I had one bulb go out like last month that I installed like 10 years ago. And it was a bulb, it was a workhorse bulb. It was one that came on every night and went out every morning. So it was on, 10 to 12 hours or more per day. So I think 10 years is pretty good for that.
So you just made me think of something that I completely forgot about. When I replaced the bulb in that fan outside, I think I went and I bought a Walmart bulb, a Walmart LED bulb. And I put it in there and it worked terribly. It actually, it's on a dimmer, but it strobed like a disco strobe. I mean, no matter what voltage you put to it, it strobed. It was unusable. So I said, well, this is totally unusable. So I took it out, I put the incandescent back in and actually returned it back to Walmart. I almost returned nothing, but, I said, I'm not going to eat this. It was just a horrible working product. And I went over to Home Depot and I guess I bought a better bulb like you were talking about. And that's the one I put in there 6 months ago, whatever it was. And it's still in there and it's working well, but,
Well, did you, the first bulb that you had, Paul, did you confirm that it said that it was dimmable on the box?
Absolutely.
Okay. It sounds like it wasn't. So, anyway, yeah, that's a bummer. Well, at least at Walmart, you were able to take it back.
I got 2 light bars in the kitchen. One's dimmable and one's not. They both have 2 bulbs in them, 2 fixtures. And so when the first time I had a bulb go out, I put an LED in there and I said, I was impressed because it worked really well and the light was about the same. But when I finally ran out of the incandescent bulbs on my dimmer, I finally had to go with 2 dimmable LEDs on the dimmer because when I rotated the dimmer all the way down, one was kind of much brighter than the other one. And I really never ran it on completely low brightness because that was just too dim. When I leave the kitchen at night, I kind of turn it up about a third of the turn so we got some light in the kitchen when you walk in. And so I just leave it all the way down now and it has enough light. So it's something that's livable. So, they're not an exact replacement, but they kind of work okay.
Yeah, I've got, I'm going to share my screen again. I have a 5 can lights in my kitchen and they're running the halogen bulbs and those go out. I would say I replace 2 of those per year and they get hot and not that they make the kitchen hot, but they're obviously burning some electricity. The light from them is beautiful. But if you look on your screen here, I'm sharing, this is a conversion kit and I'm looking for something similar to this I have 4-inch, I think my canisters are 4 inches, but you take the bulb out and then you can screw this in, this piece here, and then this is held into your existing can structure. So I'm going to be very specific because I want warm light. I don't want, problem with LEDs, especially the early ones, is you get these really bright white bulbs that I despise. I want a soft white or warm white bulb. So I'm gonna have to be really picky about the ones that I get. But I like this idea of it easily being able to just replace I can leave the entire can in the ceiling, take the bulb out, take the ring off, and put this one in its, screw this in, put this one in its place, and now I've got a dimmable light that's LED that's using probably, and I would imagine that the 5 of these would take up the kind of wattage that just one of the other bulbs would use, because they're 45 watt bulb, maybe 2 bulbs. They're 45 watt bulbs per, and these are wattage of 13, equivalent to 75. These might be too bright. This is just an example I brought up while we were talking. So yeah, there's a lot of options. The LEDs have come a long way, even just in the past 5 years. And you're talking about wattage. They do make a bulb now, not like the ones I showed you, just regular a bulb that is, I think, 150 watt, and it looks like a regular bulb, although it's pretty big because there's more LED diodes inside of it. They have to make room for it, but it does fit in a light. It does fit in like a lamp. If you look at the lamp just to make sure before you buy it. And I got that, I believe, I might have gotten that at Walmart, 150 watt. It's great. So
Our a house was built in 87. Yeah, 87. And at that time, the design was to put fluorescence, tubular fluorescence in the ceilings or in the bulkheads in the kitchen and the bathrooms. And we, about a year and a half ago, we replaced every single one of those with tubular LEDs. And it's the same thing in terms of wattage. You can, or brightness, I guess, or temperature, color temperature. You've got your choice of bright white on down to warm glow, if you will. And we took one level down from the brightest white and replaced them all. And knock on wood, we haven't had a single one go out, nor a single one of the LEDs that's in the tube, because it's a string of LEDs inside a frosted tube. And the only thing we had to do was take out the ballast and put in their little wiring harness for it. But we got.
Yeah, 10 years ago when I bought my home, I did that with all of my garage lights. I replaced the tubes with, and you had to take the ballast out. I think you just had to take the ballast out, right? You don't need a ballast for
Right, and that just puts it at 110 volts.
110, yeah. So I did that. I have 3 of those fixtures with 2 tubes each on my ceiling. I went to to Costco and bought. They were selling fixtures that you could just drill a couple screws in and mount it on the ceiling, and then it had a cord and you could plug it into an outlet, which I did. I plugged it into. Now they come on automatically. Oh, I know what I did. I plugged them into my garage door opener. So I took one. My garage door opener has 2 bulbs. I took one of the bulbs out, and I went to Home Depot and I got one of those little Edison screws that has the plug, so you could plug an outlet. It's an outlet on one side and the bulb fixture on the other. And I plugged the lights, the fluorescent LED light strip into that, and then on the other end of the light that they have at Costco, there was another plug. So I bought another one, and I have daisy chain. So I actually have 4 of those. My garage lights up at night like it's day. However, those are all the bright white bulbs, which I don't care because it's the garage. But in home, I want warm colors inside and outside, for that matter, on the porch and whatnot.
That's interesting, because we did the replacement too with the tube. All of them in my workshop, in the garage, and in the house. And we've had one die, but we didn't do the ones. We got the ones where you leave the transformer in, and one of them has died in the kitchen. But they're in a terrible place. They're up. The kitchen is a hidden light system in it, and there's glass things over the top of them, so they probably get too hot in there. I don't know, but we got the ones that did not require. Because I wasn't going to rewire anything. I just plugged the things in, but they work just fine. And they have the same thing. You got a switch on them where you can change the color. My wife liked the bright ones.
Our house is about 45 years old and had sometime they put a top hat ceiling in it in the kitchen, and it had 8 old fluorescents in there, and those fixtures were going bad and everything. So I just ripped all those out and put new fixtures and LED tubes, 8 of them in there, and then rewired it. A little tight to get to it in there, but they're hidden and they're great.
Yeah.
I just can't do it. It's just too much.
Well, you know, the way they rate fluorescent bulbs, it's, you know, it's like 4100K is the white light, the warm light, you know.
Yeah.
They got 6500 and 45. I forget which ones I really like, because I don't like the blue ones in the garage or the laundry room. You know, I like them white and bright. So I don't know if they've got that kind of rating system on the LED bulbs yet.
Mine had a K rating, but I forgot what it was.
Yeah, they usually have a Kelvin.
Yeah,
Well, it's actually lumens.
it had both on mine. So.
And
Yeah.
mine are adjustable. It's got a switch on the bulb.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, mine didn't have that. I put these in before they had that option.
Yeah,
So-
you know, you had that one that goes in the garage where you can aim it different ways. Super.
Yeah, I bought that for my dad. Oh, those work, by the way, those work great. They do not interfere with his garage door opener.
And they're wonderful. They are really,
Yeah.
that's the thing.
It was 4 for $25 or something. It was so ridiculous. It was like, I couldn't believe it if I didn't buy it, you know, and he loves them. And when I was home over the last couple of months, definitely great bulbs. Yeah. Yeah,
Like
that's
that.
it. Yeah. Yeah.
One
Is that the
LED
one, Gary? Is that the you're muted? Is that the one I recommended?
No, that's the ones from Costco.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. Whenever I was at Costco 2 days ago, and there's the display when you walk by, you can press the button, and then that lights up the little box that looks like a garage, and it's like, whoa! It hurts your eyes to look.
You can't look directly at it. That's right.
Oh,
Right.
no.
Yeah. Has anybody seen when you're driving around town? There's an issue with LED streetlight bulbs where they're turning purple. Anybody seen purple streetlights?
No.
No? Okay. It's happening down here in Orlando. Not all of them, but there was, and I went to the point of looking it up online because I'm like, this can't be right. Why would they be putting purple bulbs in the street lamps, in the street overhead, the ones that hang over the street? Well, it turns out I think there's a class action lawsuit against the company that makes those bulbs. It's a defect, and it happens after a certain amount of hours of running. And if you ever are driving at night and you happen to see what looks like a purple street light, that's one of those bulbs. So, and I don't know about the city of Orlando if they're going to just replace them or if they're involved in that lawsuit or not, but it doesn't look very good. It looks like you're driving down the street and there's a black light almost. So,
You know, I thought I think I've probably seen those in other places, but I thought they were for maybe, you know, more of a soothing light on your eyes at night.
it's a defect and it's a known issue. And I came home I was over on Corinne Drive over near Winter Park Road. There's a ice cream shop over there called Kelly's Ice Cream, and we're getting some ice cream, and I happened to look across the street, and I pointed out to my friends, "What's the deal with the purple lights?" And we made some funny jokes about it. But then I went home and I looked up purple street lights Orlando or something like that, and I found a post from someplace in North Carolina where they were also experiencing that, and it's a defect. So. It's not just the street light bulbs either, because there's a guy just around the corner from me, 100 feet from here, and his floodlight on the side of his house is also turned purple. So it's got to be the diodes in that the diodes that they're using for those particular bulbs. So I have not had it happen yet, and I hope I don't.
Okay, thank you, Sean. That was very interesting. That scanner is really something. I'm very
Yeah.
impressed.
Yes.
Okay, I wanted to talk about lights, and everybody's been talking about lights, but several years ago, I bought the first real bright light for my garage. There's 6 of them in there, and it cost me $80. And it worked so great, I couldn't believe it. It really lighted up my garage a lot. So I seen an ad where I could get 6 more bulbs, and I could exchange them for the ones I already had. So I bought them, and when they come in, I had 6 bulbs, but I had 5 more sockets. So I didn't have to take, I just cut the ballast. I didn't take them out and put these in and wired them up direct. And my whole garage lit up like crazy. Okay, a few years later, a friend of mine told me about these things they sold at Home Depot, and like the ones that you put in that go into your, in my house is 20 years old, and I got a lot of those lights in the ceiling. I replaced 15 of them with those new lights, and you can set them anywhere from soft light to real bright. I set mine to all bright because I'm old and I need really bright to see good. And I like to read and stuff a lot. So, but I could set them all for different levels. I put them in my bathroom, I put them in my living room, I put them in my kitchen, and they all work great. There's a place called Rural King that sells bulbs. Okay, out in my shop at one time when the LEDs first come out, I thought I got a deal and I bought about 30 LED bulbs. And they all work, but they weren't really super bright or anything. And I bought one down at Rural King, and it was like 15 megawatts or something. Anyhow, it lit up an area that was 16 by 40, fantastic and beyond. So I bought 3 or 4 more of them, and they work fantastic. So they don't look like a regular bulb. They're probably about 6 inches long, and they have all kinds of little bulbs inside of them, and they're like, you know, really powerful because they're setting at, 14, 15 feet in the air, and they light up my shop like it never lit up before. So all of those things are good. And Rural King, I bought, I don't know if you can see this one. You can't see this one in my office, but I put this in, and it's got a speaker in it. It cost me $22, and it's an LED, and it's so bright you can see anything to read or work in here or anything. And I bought 10 of them, and they were $22 a piece. So they work fantastic. And I bought another 20 that don't have speakers in them, or another 10 of them, and I got them too. And I haven't put them all up yet, but anyhow, the real bright lights work for me because if I don't have my glasses on and I'm out in the daylight, I can read a newspaper. But inside where they have regular light, I have to have my glasses on to read. So
Hey,
it's just,
Tom,
I guess
I'm gonna share my screen real quick. Is this the one you're talking about?
yeah, but it wasn't quite that much then. I think it was $30 at the time.
Yeah.
Boy, it puts out.
Yeah.
Huh?
This is Rural King, and this is a 10,000 lumen cob. It's called a cob light. So,
Boy, that's fantastic. I mean, my building's like only 10 foot high, but with the roof and everything, where the lights, a lot of the roofs are up there at 12 feet or so, and it puts light every section, which is about 18 by 20. It lights them up like daylight.
well, and those bulbs are going to last a long time. None of us are getting any younger, so the last thing you want to do is get up on a ladder to change these bulbs out. So it should last forever. Really.
How come I'm the only one that's not getting really old?
How do you do it, Tom?
I just turned 84.
I just got back. We've been on the road for three months, pulling a 44-foot trailer, and I know I can't do this forever, but I'm having such a good time. It's just unbelievable.
Tom, I'm waiting for you to finish that airplane and go flying before you're too old to fly it.
I hate to admit this.
Tom,
But-
that's not too bad. Actually, next time you go and pull a trailer for 3 months, use a car.
A car? Yeah.
Not
Yeah,
a
it only went.
fifth wheel.
You need- Anyhow, last year I was working on my airplane and I started it up. I had the prop all set, I had the engine all set. And the only thing I didn't have right was the throttle. It wasn't hooked in properly. And I started it and I had blocks on it and I had it tied down. But for some reason, the motor, fortunately, I just put a little bit of gas in it because I didn't want the gas to get old. And it took off and it ran over me.
Oh,
It ran over me. It did a 180, come back, run into my truck.
oh,
But because it was going so fast, the nose went down and it took the step off my pickup truck, but it didn't really hurt my truck real bad. And because it's amphibian, then the prop and everything's way in the air and it's behind it. So we didn't hurt the airplane too much. Probably cost me $300 or $400 to fix the airplane. And
Yeah.
I just didn't fix the truck except for the step. And I had to go under there and cut all that stuff loose and put in a new brackets and everything to put my step back on. But it cost me
Wow.
a lot, not too much money, but anyhow, and I've only been back a couple of weeks, so I haven't got down to work on it. I'm going to try to get it finished before the end of this year this time, but it always seems like something comes up. There's always something I got to do. You'd think when you're retired, you'd have all this time, but you don't have no time. I'd like to get up and sit and drink coffee till 10 o'clock in the morning, but it never works out that way. I don't know what the hell's going on.
I can't even get done what I used to get done in my spare time when I was working.
What's that?
I can't even get done what I used to get done when I was working in my spare time.
No, how did I get all this done when I was working? I mean, I got all this stuff to mow and trim, wash and clean, and I always, my wife comes up with 2 or 3 things I got to fix every day, and I don't know where she finds all the stuff or how she breaks it.
I'm the same way, Mike, except it just takes me like 5 times longer to do anything, at least.
That's true. You know, people used to say, well, I can do the same thing at 65 I did when I was 21. Well, you must not have been doing shit when you was 21. I don't know. Because it seems like I get up in the morning and I work for 4 hours, eat lunch, take a 3-hour nap, and then come out and do a little something, maybe.
Yeah.
We haven't given Clint a chance to talk yet.
That if you get old enough, it's a real pleasure if you can just raise your arms up above your head. I can't do anything anymore. I used to fix anything that broke. Not anymore. I have to hire it done.
Seems like everything is broke on the ground, and when I get on the ground, it takes me about a half an hour to get back up again. That's a big thing.
Yeah.
Another thing, I signed up for Starlink back in March, and no one's signed up yet. I mean, we can't get it yet, and I'm just hoping I can. The only reason I signed up, I knew I wouldn't get it for at least a year probably, and maybe longer. But we travel a lot, and you know, I get a 12 down and a 3 up, which is not fantastic.
I got notice that I could get it if I wanted it. I had signed up about the same time you did, but they sent me notice and they said, okay, send us your $500 and expect shipment in about 3 weeks. And I just said, nah, I'm not ready to do it yet.
Well, they haven't sent me anything, but maybe I'll check. I got the app. I'll look in the morning, but the reason I wanted, I didn't really, what I cared for more than anything that, you know, we go away 2 or 3 months in the summer, and during the year we travel 4 or 5 days a week, maybe 5 or 6 times. And none of these trailer parks, their Wi-Fi is like crap. The only thing I can say this year, I mean, I don't do everything on my phone and my iPad, and I get G5 about everywhere, but it's not the real G5, but it's a little faster than G4. So it's been working out pretty good, but I sure like to get that. And he's trying to make it so that we can get it when we travel. And I like to take it with me because this summer I got to go back up to Ohio. I got some property up there, and I worked on it some this fall, and I got more work to do up there this spring. So I'm going to be up there a month or 2, and I always take my trailer with me, so we got somewhere to stay. So It's real interesting. And so you signed up for it and they said you could get it now? When did you sign up? I signed up about March.
About the same time.
I better check it then, because I'd sure like to get it if I
But
could.
you really need to look into, because at least some of the videos I've watched talk to the limitations of going mobile with it and also relocating
I
it.
know there's a lot of limitations now, but aren't they working on it?
They're working on it, but I mean, they're actually talking account limitations rather than hardware limitations. You know, is if you, let's say you're a snowbird or opposite of snowbird and you go away somewhere for 6 months and you've got Starlink here in Orlando, and say, okay, now I want it up in the Adirondacks, and you leave Orlando and you want to take your satellite with you and so on, if you don't jump through hoops, they want to release your account to someone else in the Orlando area. And then you've got to compete to get it up in the Adirondack area. So I don't know all the details. Huey may have some more information on that, but it's on the YouTube videos.
Okay, I haven't looked at them for a while, but I used to download all that stuff, but I haven't looked at them recently a lot because they haven't notified me of anything, or I didn't think they had.
We've had a
Anybody else?
lurker here. Clint hasn't had a chance to say anything yet. You got something to contribute, Clint?
I just asked him to unmute. He's muted and his camera's off. I'm not sure he's still with us. Clint, are you with us?
Sorry, Phil, we put him to sleep.
I guess.
I have a question one for Sean, one for Mike. Mike, your background software tears very little and it's motion. What are you using?
The background is just because I have a good video card. I'm sure you do too. So I just chose a background. It says choose a virtual background. And the one I chose is the beach. If I choose Northern Lights, you can see that the Northern Lights are also motion. So it's part of the package that comes with Zoom.
Oh, okay, all right.
Oh, really?
Sean,
That's part of
yours
Zoom?
never tears.
It's part of Zoom if your video card is good enough and you've got enough, processing power. So Zoom does sort of a test of your system and knows whether or not it will share properly.
Huh.
And make sure you have the latest version of Zoom.
Yeah.
Where is that at in Zoom?
Lower left, you got the microphone, you got stop video, and next to stop video, you got a little caret.
Right.
You click up on the caret, shows your camera, and then it says below that, it says choose virtual background. So if you choose virtual background, and if your system, some people won't see that if their system isn't strong enough. So under choose virtual background, then you can see the virtual background package. You got none, you got blur, you've got some fixed pictures, and then you've got some stock video. And then you can also, there's a little plus above the stock videos, and you can upload things. So I've got my car, and I've got a shot that I took when I was up in Norway on the fjords, and I've got my stock background for Linux. And a little bit of what's been haunting us for the last 2 years.
So what category are those pictures under?
Well, they don't really say category. It's just when you go, if your system's strong enough, it may not be, and a lot of laptops aren't. When you click on that little upward tilde next to stop video, and you see select a camera, below select a camera, if your system's strong enough, it'll say choose virtual background. If
Okay.
you don't see choose virtual background, then Zoom says you're not strong enough.
Mine just says none.
Yeah.
Okay, because I've got some, like you, I've got some motion backgrounds I'd like to use. And mine does come up and it doesn't have any backgrounds because I'm using a different piece of software, but the blur works. I can.
I would have to add in those pictures. They're not here. Those pictures aren't here.
that means your system isn't capable of doing it. I don't believe.
Or you're using a separate system like I am.
Of course, I got I got some stills in there, like this one here.
Yeah, choose a still and let's see how, yeah, that's good.
Okay, but see it tear? That's what I do. Sean
Yeah.
never, whatever you're using, Sean doesn't.
Well, even mine tears to some
Yeah.
extent.
Sean does not. Using the same thing, Sean?
I'm using a Mac Pro, so maybe the videos. It does do it. I mean, if I hold something up, see,
Yeah,
I don't know what their logic is, but if it's just, it understands if it's just me. I was just playing with. You can go in, you can give yourself a beard, and
yeah.
see, there's none now, but I can give myself a heavier porn stash. You got that. It's different.
You can make yourself
Make it
bald.
black.
too. You can make it bald and it really works, see?
Yeah. I could do the lips. Let's see about my lips. Make my lips redder. Yeah, that's pretty weird. Never noticed that before. So I'm using a Mac Pro with I can't do the video. I don't think I can do the video backgrounds though. I
Yeah,
can do
Paul,
the virtual
Paul got,
background.
yeah, there you go, Paul. It's, there you go.
Trent's back again.
If you got a Mac Pro, doesn't it give you a choice to use the video background? I'm using the Mac Pro too.
I don't see a choice for that.
I've got a choice on mine, and yours is probably newer than mine. It says choice video background, choice video filter, FaceTime, HD camera built-in, and video settings.
I don't have that. Yeah, video filters. Oh, I could do that. I could do yeah.
Oh, you got a mask.
Oh, there we go. That's really nice.
Oh, I like your glasses, 3D.
Oh,
Hey, I've got a question. I said I just got off a cruise, so my wife shot a bunch of pictures, and when I look at them in File Manager, some of the pictures are sideways. So I just have to right click and say rotate clockwise. I can right side it and it's good. However, my question is with the videos, she's shot a video that's sideways, and when you right click it, there's no option for rotate. Is there?
I think the VLC player, if I remember correctly, has that option. Because I needed it one time when my granddaughter held her camera the wrong way or her phone the wrong way, and took a video, and we really wanted to see it. And I did some research. There's some very good video editing programs that'll do it. But I think the VLC, I'll have to research it again. I think VLC has the capability for videos to do that.
Well, I think you had me put that on I've got that on my Windows 7 computer. So maybe I can go try it later and suck it in there and see if it works.
Clint's back with us.
Yeah, I'm here.
What's happening, Clint?
Oh, I don't have anything really to add. Just been enjoying the conversation here. For the one person that asked about the electronics and stuff, I've been doing that since about 1960 or earlier. Had an FCC first class license, and guy showed his little tube. I remember having big tubes, 35,000 watt tubes that went in TV transmitters. But I built several TV stations here in Idaho, full powered. But worked with radio all along and on a lot of hands, but I never got involved with that. But like I said, I've enjoyed the conversation. I thank everybody. I'm supposed to thank everybody.
thanks, Clint.
Thanks for joining us. Stan, you want to wrap it up with some of your comments?
I guess, anybody else got anything they didn't bring up? I'm sorry about my video problems. I'm quite sure all I need to do is a reboot.
I gotta
And
take a
Mike-
break.
Mike, there have been several times that I've had to hit Control Alt Delete and stop the Zoom program, and then it just automatically started back again, and then I had full control of what I got, but it didn't change my camera situation. So I think when I turn it off and turn it back on again in the morning, that should solve that problem. So if nobody else has got anything, let's wish each other a good night and stay safe, and see you next time.